Hey guys, it's been a while, but we're back with a new episode, and on today's show we have 9-time American National Champion Samir Chantre chatting with us and showing techniques from his latest instructional, the Hip Clamp Guard. Also, we're going to show some other new releases and a couple new gis. So let's get to it. First of all, I'd like to congratulate my friend TWIBJJ, rocking his t-shirt today. It's been a few weeks, but he had an amazing performance at the Polaris event against Vitor Shaolin. He showed off his world-class guard passing, so congratulations TWIBJJ on your win. Okay, 5 new DVD releases I want to show you today. First off, Precise Pressure Passing from Paul Schreiner. Try to say that 5 times fast. Paul is an instructor at Marcelo Garcia's school, and this DVD goes into great detail, not only on techniques, but also concepts. And as you can probably guess, Paul is a native speaker of English, so he's able to elucidate his concepts very well. Next off, another great American pair, or Canadian pair I should say, the BJJ Formula with Stefan Kesting and Rob Bernacki. This is also a great DVD set for the beginner student or the intermediate or advanced. Both of these guys speak very openly and talk a lot about concepts as well. Really cool set here from Stefan Kesting, who has his great website, grapplearts.com. Third up, we got Joe Capizzi's Capizzi Lock. Joe is a teacher and competitor at Renzo Gracie's school in New York City, and he has a lot of unique ways to frustrate and submit his opponents. He calls it the Capizzi Lock. Fourth up is The Progression by Roy Dean. Roy is another great instructor who's able to speak very clearly about his concepts, and he's put out a number of DVDs in the past. Many of them are out of print now, but this one collects all of his belt ranking DVDs in one 10 DVD set. This has his blue belt requirements, purple belt requirements, brown belt requirements, and black belt requirements. 10 DVDs in one convenient set. Really nice job by Roy Dean on this one. And lastly, today's guest. This is the Hip Clamp Guard. Now, what is the Hip Clamp Guard? It's a variation of the half guard, and it's something that Samir Chantre has been doing in competition since 2009 at the highest levels of competition. And it's something that I've talked to him about a lot in the past. I always wanted him to put out this instructional. Being an active competitor, oftentimes those guys don't want to release their secrets to the world, so it took him a while to be ready to release it, but here it is, and it is awesome. If you like the half guard, it almost feels like cheating when you get good at the hip clamp guard. It's a great way to sweep your opponents, submit your opponents. It's a complete package, and again, if you like the half guard, I think you're really going to like Samir Chantre's Hip Clamp Guard. Okay, that being said, let's get to a couple new gis. Okay guys, 2 gis I want to show you, both of them from Moya. We got the Realest Gi, which is the white one, and the Boulevard Gi, which is the blue one. They both have lightweight Pro Tech pearl weave jackets, 10-ounce cotton pants, woven patches, a foam padded collar which makes drying super quick, triple stitching on critical seams, and they're both IBJJF approved and available in both adult and kids sizes. Okay, now it's time for the interview and techniques by Samir Chantre. We traveled up to his gym in Modesto, California. We spent all week filming instructionals with him, chatting, had a great time with both him and Caixinho. So please enjoy the interview and techniques by Samir. Samir, always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So you've been a competitor for a long time. It seems like as long as I've been watching competition jiu-jitsu, I've seen you out there competing. How early did you get into competition, and why does it have such a strong attraction for you?
The first time I competed, actually, I was 11 years old. I started training jiu-jitsu I was 9, but at the age of 11, I wasn't even thinking about it. My instructor signed me up for a tournament, and that was it. And it seems like I was actually talking about that with some friends. I'm more addicted to compete than I am with training. For some reason, it gets me going. You know, I'm addicted to the adrenaline that I have with competing. It makes me feel good. You know?
So when you hear from maybe other teachers or other students that aren't interested in competing, do you try to convince them to compete, or what goes through your mind?
It is weird. It is weird for me to think that people don't want to compete for different reasons, but I do understand. You know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's crazy, but I understand, you know, sometimes age, sometimes job, sometimes family, sometimes routine, injury, or just they don't like it, you know. Sometimes the non-liking part, that kind of trips me a little bit, you know. Sometimes I try to convince a little, but when it's different aspects, I let it go. I understand. Most of the time, I understand.
Right.
But it is different, though.
So, as a competitor, I'm sure you struggle with weight cuts, with the stress of competing, and the travel. But there must be, the benefits must outweigh those. What are the benefits for you for competing?
Right now, I live off of it, most of it. You know, like when I'm not making money competing, that's giving me credentials for. In some other way, I'll be making money, making my living off of it. But before, it was mostly just the desire, just to be there, just the feeling. You know, the feeling to be there and competing is rewarding when you step on the podium. You know, that's something that I think a lot. That I think always when I step on the podium, it's a different feeling. You know, like because of the things that I go through to make to that tournament and the fight itself. You know, so every time I step on the mat, I usually like step on the mat with like a really good feeling, and that pays off. You know, the moment that I step on the mat and my arm is raised after the mat, and when I step on the podium, and I'm there in the highest spot there. This is what makes me like. Right now, not only that, you know. Right now, this is my profession, but before, just that was already like more than enough for me. Mm-hmm. That was like everything that I go through. It definitely balances it out by the feeling that I have after when it's done.
Mm-hmm. So certainly you've built your name through competing, and a lot of other guys have as well. But you make a good point, is that now you're making a living competing.
Yeah.
Whereas that wasn't possible just a few short years ago. Do you feel like now it's possible for a large number of people to make a living as jiu-jitsu competitors?
Now, I don't think a large number of people. Mostly that selected group of people that have been there and have reached the highest level. But jiu-jitsu is growing so much, and so many more people are reaching that level, and that's what we have been fighting for a long time. So things that today I see happening in tournaments, a lot of federation that used to not give a dime, now they are paying out the athletes, and professional tournaments, you know, professional events. I think that those that have been like the thing that a lot of people are fighting for, you know. And back in the days, you used to not have any of those. Mm-hmm. But now more people are having access to it. More people are being able to compete and to do these kind of tournaments. And I think with the growth of jiu-jitsu, more tournaments like that are gonna be out there. So even more people are gonna be able to live off of it. And now, before, even like if you spoke with some of the best fighters before, like 5-10 years ago, they would say that the future of a good jiu-jitsu fighter would be the MMA, because that would be the only way they would be able to make a living. But now jiu-jitsu, even like jiu-jitsu schools are being more popular and giving more money for the instructors, and also the jiu-jitsu tournaments now are paying out way more, or actually like are paying, you know. Before that wouldn't happen, so the future would have to be the MMA. Now we have a choice, you know. We have a choice of sticking with jiu-jitsu only, and you can see even people that have tried MMA coming back to the jiu-jitsu. Right. We're like the highest level.
And not only as a jiu-jitsu competitor, you're also a school owner and a referee. And I can't think of many more thankless jobs than being a referee. You know, whether you make the right call or the wrong call, you're going to be yelled at, and so much pressure. And you know, sometimes people's future are in your hands. I can't imagine the pressure that goes along with it. Does it pay that well to make it worth it for you, or why do you referee?
Honestly, no. But one thing that I told myself when I was young is that I wanted to be a referee one day, so I can make good calls, because I felt that I got many unfair calls when I was younger, and I decided, like, when I'm able to, when I'm eligible to do it, I'm gonna do it, because I'm gonna study. Because in my mind, I couldn't see somebody that would be doing this and studying this, making mistakes like people were making, that people still make. So I always thought to myself, like, that doesn't seem very hard, you know? It's just go there. You gotta study. You gotta know what you're doing, of course, but it's not that hard. But it is hard. It is really hard. But one thing I tell you, always when I ref, it's because I'm ready to ref. I studied the rules a lot. Even as a competitor, that helped me so much. So I always wanted to ref since I was younger. That always was in my mind. You know, I always had that mindset that when I became eligible for it, I would go and ref. And I started refing. I was 2 months in my brown belt, which is when you are eligible to ref. So I did the referee course in Brazil, which is different than the referee course in America. In Brazil, you have tests, you have video tests and reading tests. Here is basically a seminar, and you're eligible. So, but I do understand too, Jiu-Jitsu was in Brazil very popular for a long time, so they kind of wanted to filter to the best there. And here, they need that material, they need referees here, because the Jiu-Jitsu is just becoming so popular. There's international opens and tournaments everywhere, so they do need more referees. But yeah, so I find that besides that I like it, I feel pleasure to be there, and it was just something that I wanted since I was young, you know. And one thing that I'm kind of fortunate with is that people are used to see my face so much that sometimes I see that they second guess themselves before they complain with me, you know, and that also helps me.
Right. You know, when I watch coaches or parents or friends that are coaching their students or friends competing, they'll oftentimes complain to the referee, and I see you go over and talk to them and sometimes explain to them why they don't understand the rules properly. What is one of the least understood rules of competition?
There are many things, but let's say, yeah, I don't know if I can name you one thing, because there are so many things that people get confused with, and honestly, a lot of times are the most simple things, but people just don't know the rules. You know, one thing that we say all the time is that Jiu-Jitsu is the only sport in the world that practitioners don't know the rule. If you ask to any soccer player, like professional soccer player, they will know the rule. If you volleyball player, basketball players, they will know the rule. If you ask for a lot of, out of, I don't know, I think it was 237 black belts adult competitors at the last World Championship. Maybe, I don't know, like, one thing I'll tell you, if you give them a 10-question reading test, I don't know how many would be able to get it all, you know? So, and it shouldn't be like that. You know, I know Jiu-Jitsu it's complex, a complex sport, but people make mistakes in so many easy stuff, you know? But a lot of things, the Jiu-Jitsu, it develops all the time, it's improving all the time, different positions, different moves all the time. So people see the move, but they don't see the concept behind the move. And usually the rules are based on the concept, because there are tons of different sweeps, but they all work to points. But then a reverse is not the same thing as a sweep, and so I think people, there's no one move that one or other moves, maybe advantage, people get more confused about because it's more, a lot of things are interpretation.
Right.
But I would say that it's more in general.
Right.
More in general, people make mistakes.
And I think part of the lack of understanding of the rules might come from the fact that, at least when I'm practicing in the academy, I'm not thinking about the rules. I'm not thinking, oh, I just got 2 points on you. Oh, there's an advantage. Oh, you're DQ'd because you just read me. Like, you're just rolling, and having a good time. Whereas when you get to competition, you really have to be sharp and think about those things. So that's a good point.
So I had an individual that came in and they wanted to sign up for jiu-jitsu. The only concern they had was they weren't sure if they were in shape enough. So they said they wanted to lose 5 pounds and get a little bit more fit, more cardio. That's when I realized there's a problem. No one should feel that way. Jiu-jitsu is supposed to improve your life. You shouldn't feel like you have to be physical in order to do jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is a language. Jiu-jitsu is the most fluent way of speaking that language. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Not everybody believes that anymore. That's where jiu-jitsu came in.
So it hasn't been very long that you've had the new Ares BJJ patch on your gi. Please tell me a little bit about the new association.
Yeah, we created Ares last December, so it's been 9 months. It was one of the biggest steps I've took since I first started jiu-jitsu. And first was black belt, and this was one of my biggest steps. And I'm very, very happy about the association. It grew so much, so quick. Like in the beginning, when me, Milton, and Queixinho, we spoke about creating the association when we started setting up, and we spoke with some friends. We're like, look, we're ready to start, and some of our friends were like, I'm with you. I'm with you, and it was really nice. It was nice to see that, and also associations reaching us up, like when they found out that we were not with any association. Right, even before we started Ares, there was people already like, Samir, are you guys gonna create an association? Are you guys gonna join an association? Because whatever you do, I'm with you. They were like reaching me, reaching Queixinho, Milton. So it was very rewarding for us to see that was happening. And we have my instructor Alan Moraes in Brazil too. He's the head of Ares Association Brazil. So it's very nice to see that we grew like outside of America too. We have South America, we have a couple. We have Europe, we have in Brazil, we have some in Brazil, and we have in the whole United States, we have East Coast, Midwest, and we grew really fast. So one thing that we were always thinking is like, in the beginning we might grow, but we cannot lose the focus on what we're here for, and one thing that we wanted to have our friends together. We wanted to grow, but grow very tight together. We didn't want to have people in our association that we don't have any contact with. Otherwise, it would be just like any other association. And that was why we started that, because if it was to be just like any other association, we just join any other association, because I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to do anything else but have our friends together, make new ones, and have that team where you can call friends, friends, family, where you can grow together. And that's what we are feeling that's happening. We have associations all the time, applying all the time, and we talk a lot before we take the next step, and we want to know about them. And same thing with them, they're always like, what they like our vision, and that's being the thing that's been the most different thing for me so far, you know, is that I'm not like just with a team, or I'm not just with it's not just like a business. It is something that we're having more friends. We are building a family, you know.
So I'd like to hear a little about the vision of Ares BJJ. In other words, if a student had a choice between going to one of the many other associations or joining yours, what would a student get at an Ares BJJ school?
Yeah, so what it's basically what I was telling you is about our vision is to grow as a family, you know, to grow. Like when academies associate with us, when academy affiliates with us, the first thing I tell them is that, hey, here are what we follow. Here we have a sheet with all what we follow, what we believe, and we talk to them and see. And one thing that we always say is like, look, this is not a business. This is not something that it is this, it is that, or it is that. This is so we can be organized. You know, we have things that we follow, so we can be organized. Any organization, any team has to have that. But everything's talking. You know, everything is. There's no one thing that we have very good in common. Me, Queixinho, Milton, Ellen, and any other associated school that we have. You can ask to any other head instructor in our affiliated schools. We all want to stay away from jiu-jitsu politics, you know, and that's one of the things that I heard so much growing up. Like my instructor was always encouraging me to do cross training. My instructor was always encouraging me to learn from other people, because sometimes I do a move and somebody else does one little different detail, and that might not even work for me, but works better for my student. You know, people have different body types. People have different strength, abilities. You know, people are more flexible. People are stronger. People are taller. People are shorter. People are heavier. People are lighter. So my instructor always encouraged me to train with different people and learning from different people and training my friends and having my friends in the gym. He would never say, no, don't bring that guy, don't bring this guy. He was always telling me to bring guys to train with us. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been with my instructor since I started with him. You know, I had all my belts through him from blue to black. And I still have him as my instructor, and now he's part of my. He's one of the leaders of our team, you know. So he built that loyalty by not sticking with the jiu-jitsu politics. Mm-hmm. He was ready to stick with our principles, our beliefs, and this is what we bring to the Ares Association. We have those beliefs. We have the vision that. We wanted to grow together as a family. We wanted to be together. We want to be friends with every single affiliation, and we want to be away from jiu-jitsu politics. You know, we don't want to be a business. We want to be a team. You know, and I truly think it's two different things. People try to combine it, and I don't think that's the right idea. You know, and I'm not the only one, and a lot of people and everyone in the areas, they have the same belief that a team is a team, a business is just something else.
Well, I like the idea of encouraging cross-training with other people. But controversial question, why do some instructors discourage cross-training? Why do some instructors not allow their students to train with people outside of their association?
That's something that I've been trying to figure out too, Jake. Yeah, I've heard different things. People say some people say they're just not as confident, I guess, and and again, it's about their business. You know, I think they feel for their business. They have the fear for their business to lose customers maybe, but I don't think that's how it is. Like I was saying, I think my instructor never lost me. One of the reasons was because he never try to hold me, you know, it's like putting a pet in jail, you know, like you put your pet in a crate, and once you open, he's gonna leave and never come back, you know. And I think that once the student wants to leave, he'll leave regardless. So if you give the person opportunities to grow, he's gonna say, no, I am able to grow being here. You know, why do I want to leave if I'm being able to grow? But if they feel that they're not growing, they're gonna leave. Right. But I don't know if it's the old school mentality. But one thing that I feel most is because of the business aspect. Right. That's what I think, that people worry too much about the business aspects nowadays, and I don't know if they think about their students too much, you know, as much.
And one thing I've heard from very wise instructors is that you can learn from other people. Doesn't mean you have to join their team.
Of course,
go to their seminars or go to their classes. And
yes, that's what I'm saying. But once you hold them so much, they're gonna say, it's either I'm gonna have to leave or I'm gonna have to leave. Yeah. You know, but if you open the doors and encourage anybody that wants to come in, and if they want to go and train somewhere else, they're gonna feel that they're free to go there and learn and go somewhere else and learn. They're gonna be improving. Yeah. So why to leave?
Cool. Should we move on to techniques?
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Samir. So Samir, I know you have a very well-rounded jiu-jitsu game, but I see you do the Lasso Guard a lot. Why do you like the Lasso?
When I started build up my game for competition, my instructor would always tell me that close guard, the Carson Gracie style, like a lot of close guard, and I love close guard and keep my opponents on my close guard. But then they start opening my guard, and being a not very flexible guy, I would feel trouble if I let the guy too loose and going side to side in my guard. So I decided to start doing the lasso because I can trap the guy. I can have the guy not moving too much, you know. So then I started developing a game from there, and since it's been years and years.
Yeah, lasso's a great position. Just in case you guys don't know what we're talking about, can we show a little bit about what the Lasso Guard is?
Definitely, yeah. So here, I'm gonna get the sleeve. Okay, I usually start here with both sleeves and my knees here on his on yours biceps here. Now I'm gonna escape my hip, throw my leg through, and go around your arm. Okay, so I go around your arm and I put a hook on your armpit, and I keep your hand always pulling to me here. Your hand has to be always inside, and I'm gonna open my elbow so I can put my hand on my thigh. This way you're not able to pull back. Okay, sometimes if you just leave like this, you're able to pull back and rotate your hand. But if I put my hand on my thigh, now if you pull back, look, my thigh blocks my hand. Okay, so I like a lot to play this here, and I do a lot of variations here. I combine the lasso with from the biceps, sometimes with the lapel, de la riva, half guard, X guard. I do a lot of combination from here.
Now, a white belt mistake is to think, okay, this side is stuck, but this side is free, so I'm going to come all the way here, and that's what happens. So obviously that's not the right idea. So if you find yourself in the lasso, for the white belts out there, don't pass to this side. What's a good rule of thumb for the guy on top from when you're stuck in the lasso position?
When you're stuck in the lasso position, one thing that the first thing that I gotta do is pray. I like a lot to try. One of the things is to try to spin the hand and bring the hand outside. Okay, but I do like to pass standing up. When I'm stuck in the lasso, I like to stand up right away because here there's so much the guy on bottom can do. When the guy is standing, there is a lot of stuff, but not as much. You know, and you have the posture, which is that's the key against the lasso, is the posture. So if you posture out, my lasso doesn't have as much power anymore. So you gotta posture out, posture away, and then you gotta start taking the lasso out, trying to bring the lasso to the other side, trying to take the hook out, and try to take the power off of my lasso.
Okay. Cool. Let's not spend too much time on defense against the lasso. Show me something that you like to do from the lasso guard.
All right, let's start here. Let's do one with the variation of foot on the biceps, okay? So I have it here. From here, I love doing triangles, omoplatas, you know, which are the most basic stuff from here. But a lot of times my opponent brings the foot up, the knee up, and yes, and avoids me from throwing triangles and omoplatas from here because look, your knee is always in the middle. So what I do, instead of taking the foot out to try to go for submissions, I'm gonna hook inside here. So it's kind of like a de la lasso, okay, a de la riva here on top of the lasso, okay? So I have the lasso, that hook with the de la riva. Now I'm gonna put my foot on the mat, the foot on the biceps, I go to the mat, and I'm gonna turn that way. So you see that you have no base on this side here, so that's what I'm taking. So here, look, put my foot on the mat, I'm gonna turn sideways and I'm gonna kick you that way. Okay, so I get to the sweep. And I have two options here. I can just come on top to the north-south, or one thing that I really like to combine here is when I get to this position here, I control with both of my hands, your hands, and I pull to me, look, as I bring my hip underneath your armpit and get the armbar.
Straight to the sub, huh?
Yep.
Very nice. Can we see that one more time?
Yep. Do real speed.
Sure.
Here, bring the knee up, hook it, start turning, follow, and get the submission.
Samir, it seems like a lot of times when you sweep with the lasso, you end up in a bicep slicing position.
Yeah.
Do you usually go for the bicep slicer, or is that considered a low percentage move at the highest level of competition?
Yeah, usually a lot of times in higher belt, your opponents already know what you're gonna do. Even though not all the time they can stop, they will see it coming. So usually the bicep slice is a second. It's gonna be a second move, and it's not very tight most of the time. So the first thing that your opponent's gonna do when they see that you're coming, they're gonna try to move that because it's very. No, they know that it's gonna be there since your lasso is there. It's not like the armbar. The armbar is a transition. You're gonna move the position to get there. The bicep slice is gonna be already there, so they kind of know what's coming.
Gotcha. Another position that you are the master of is the hip clamp guard. Not many people know about this, but where did the hip clamp guard come from?
It came from because I always had trouble spinning under and going upside down, doing upside down guards, because I'm not a very flexible guy. So when I started to see those moves coming and a lot of people start playing those moves, I started to try to do those moves but in a different way. So that's how I started developing this game, because it's a safe way to go for those moves because I'm trapping you. So you're not able to stack on me, you're not able to put me in a bad position while I'm doing my spins under.
Cool, so it's a really cool half guard variation. I'm not gonna ask you to explain too many details, but can I feel one of the hip clamp guard techniques?
Sure.
Wow, that's some good control. Felt like it was in a washing machine. So again, I want to ask you to explain all the details. There's an instructional coming out from Budo Videos not too long, all on the hip clamp, another one all on the lasso and all of its variations. So stay tuned, we'll keep you guys up to date on that. Samir, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching This Week in BJJ.
Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave a comment and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And remember, Samir Chantre's hip clamp guard is available in 3 formats: DVD, on demand, and on the Budo Videos app for iOS devices. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on This Week in BJJ.